Most of the stories of the Bible that we know today are not exactly correct.
Listen, Genesis chapter 11 verse 10 explains the genealogy of Shem. Shem was a black man in Africa. If you repeat this back, Genesis 14 verse 13, Abraham steps on the scene. Being a descendant of Shem, which is a fact, means Abraham too was black. Abraham, born in the city of a black man, called Nimrod, grandson of Ham. Ham had 4 sons. One was named Cain. Here, let me do some explaining. Abraham, Isaac was the father. Jacob had 12 sons, for real, and these were the children of Israel. According to Genesis chapter 10, these were the children of Israel.
Most of the stories of the Bible that we know today are not exactly correct. Or rather, let me put it this way. Most of the stories of the Bible that we know today are not being told in their original pattern. The actual stories of the Bible are hidden. And this is done by white supremacists who want to keep the history of black people down. Did you know that most of the stories of the Bible is actually stories of the blacks? Did you know that most of the stories of the Bible is connected to Africa? Did you know that Africa is the most mentioned continent in the scriptures? Did you know that most of the stories of the Bible is actually about Africans? Did you know that the man who helped Jesus carried the cross was an African, a black man? Did you know that one of the wives of King Solomon, Queen Sheba, was a black woman? I will be showing you this and many more in this video. There are those who know the truth but decide to keep it from us all. In fact, we've been lied to. We've all been deceived. Remember that deception was the primary weapon used by the devil to put out Adam and Eve away from the garden. So that same deception is what is still being used today. Africa is more mentioned in the Bible than any other place in the world. It is the first place mentioned in the scriptures in Genesis chapter 2 verse 10. Kittim, which is also known as Rome or Romanos or Romans, is mentioned 6 times in the Bible. Greek was mentioned 12 times. Macedonia, of course, is also part of the great Greece, was mentioned 28 times only in the New Testament. Rome, who took its civilization from Greece, was mentioned 15 times only in the New Testament. Canaan, mentioned 91 times in the scriptures and Cush 8 times. But Egypt was mentioned 611 times in both Old Testament and New Testament. So, the stories of the Bible is more connected to Africa than any other part of the world. And why is it that everything that is said in the Bible is linked to being white or whiteness? Why is it that we are not told about the story of just one black person during Sunday school teaching? Why is it that pastors all over the world do not mention the story of these people who are black Africans to us? Why is it that no black person is mentioned to us when pastors are preaching? Why black nations are historically spoken about in the Bible itself? This was because some group of people, of racists, wanted to put the story down because they do not want Africa to be associated, or the black people to be associated with great things. The black biblical heritage cannot be erased from the scriptures. Today we are looking at the blacks in the Bible. Let me quickly put you through the stories of black people actually mentioned in the Bible that you may not have noticed. You remember the story of Adam and Eve when they were taken out of the garden, after which they had their sons, and then the flood came. And after the flood, Noah's sons, Noah's family survived the flood. His sons, Ham, Shem, and Japheth, they were the surviving sons of Noah after the flood. Of course, it is generally accepted that Ham is the progenitor or the father of the black race. And Ham gave birth to 4 children, 4 according to the Bible: Cush, Mizraim, Put, and Canaan. In Genesis chapter 10, Table of Nations, verse 6 to 20. Note that the Bible does not deal with people based on their race, but talks about their heritage. It talks about their language. The Bible does not deal with people based on their race, but as a nation and language. Of course, the children of Ham, Mizraim, that is Egypt; Cush, that is Ethiopia or Sudan; Put, that is Libya; Canaan, of course, Israel, Palestine. So when you see the word Canaan, Put, Mizraim, and Cush, you are talking about black people. The Canaan family includes the Havites, the Jebusites, the Avadites, the Gigashites, the Amorites, the Hakkites, the Sinites, the Hittites, the Sidonites, the Perizzites, and the Zemarites. Genesis 10:9. Abraham lived in a city called Ur, which is in present-day Iraq. God asked him to leave the city and to move to Canaan, which later became Israel. Let's talk about Abraham. Abraham lived in a city called Ur. God asked him to move out of the place. That same city is in present-day Iraq. God asked him to move to Canaan. Canaan the place where black people are. And of course, the city of Ur was ancient Sumerian civilization, which was also black civilization. So there is about 80% chance that Abraham was a black man. In Canaan, he met with one Melchizedek. Aha, you remember Melchizedek? The king of Salem is a priest unto the Most High. King and priest unto the Most High. The person who Abraham paid 1/10 of all that he had. You can see this in the book of Genesis chapter 14 verse 18 and Hebrews chapter 7 verse 2. So Melchizedek was also referred to as the king of Salem. And where is Salem? Salem is in Canaan, and Salem is also called Jerusalem. Jerusalem is also called Jebus. So when you look at the scripture critically, you would find out that one of the descendants of Ham is Jebus. So Jebus, Jerusalem, the people, the inhabitants of Jerusalem were the descendants of Ham. This you can see in Judges chapter 19, verse 10 and 11, Salem, which is also Jerusalem. 1 Chronicles 11 and verse 4. The Jebusites, they are the first inhabitants of Jerusalem. They built it on a rocky place, which they controlled for more than 1,000 years. So Melchizedek, king of Salem, was a black man. I'm sure you're hearing this for the first time. Abraham and Sarah were barren for some years. So Sarah, his wife, decided to give unto him a wife named Hagar. I'm sure you remember the story of Hagar. That black Egyptian woman whom Sarah gave to her husband Abraham because she was childless. So Abraham also married a black woman. What about Isaac and Rebekah? They gave birth to Esau and Jacob. Esau got married to Judith the Hittite, a black woman. Remember, when you hear Zidonites, Hittites, Jebusites, these are all black people. The story of the sons of Israel, the story of the sons of Jacob. Remember Reuben, the firstborn, who defiled his father. He was replaced by the sons of Joseph, Ephraim and Manasseh, on the tribe table chart. Joseph married an Egyptian woman, Asenath, the daughter of the priest of On. And their union produced Ephraim and Manasseh. These are black people we're talking about. Judah married a Canaanite woman, that is a black woman. Her name was Bathsheba in Genesis chapter 38, verse 2 to 6. When you see or hear Bethsaida, Bethlehem, Bathsheba, you think about blacks. The son of Judah married Tamar, a Canaanite. Judah was losing his sons to Tamar and refused to give Tamar the last because he said to her that he has not come of age, that is, he was very young. So Tamar decided to disguise as a harlot, as a prostitute by the wayside. Judah saw her and took her in. So Tamar gave birth to twins by her father-in-law. You can see that in Genesis 38:11, 13, 24 to 27. What about the story of Joseph? Joseph in Egypt, in Genesis 48:20, he also mingled and mixed with black people. Moses married Zipporah, the daughter of Jethro, from Midian, another land of the blacks. So Zipporah can be said to be a black woman. While Zipporah was clearly mentioned as Moses' wife, the name of the woman spoken of in Numbers chapter 12 verse 1 is not given. However, God's attitude towards that woman is very clear, that you cannot be a racist. God's attitude to that woman was very clear, that this is mine. In Egypt, Aaron gave birth to Eleazar in Exodus chapter 6 verse 23, 1 Chronicles chapter 2 verse 10. Eleazar became the high priest. He became the high priest and married the daughter of one Putiel, and became the father of Phinehas, which means the bronze mouth or Negro. Eleazar got married to the daughter of Putiel. Putiel, from the word put, Libyan, black man. So Eleazar got married to the daughter of a black man. And their union, of course, produced Phinehas. And Phinehas, which also means bronze mouth, or which can also be said to be a Negro. What about the fall of Jericho? You remember the story of Rahab in Joshua chapter 2 verse 1. Rahab was a Canaanite woman who was already prepared by God to support the Israelite invasion of Jericho and to favor them. Rahab the Canaanite got married to a Hebrew man named Salmon, and Salmon and Rahab gave birth to one Boaz. Boaz was was in the farm when he saw a woman named Ruth. Ruth was a Moabite, that is a black person, a black woman. So Boaz later married Ruth, and in Matthew chapter 1 verse 5, the lineage of Jesus Christ, Boaz gave birth to Obed, Obed gave birth to Jesse, and Jesse gave birth to David, the progenitor of Jesus of Nazareth. Note that Son of David was Jesus, was one of Jesus's title. So David came through the union of blacks. So there are black people in the lineage of Jesus. So Jesus, Savior of the world, descended from blacks. So great-great-great-great-grandmother of Jesus Christ of Nazareth was a black woman. What about Uriah's wife, Bathsheba, in Samuel chapter 2, verse 23, in 2 Samuel chapter 11, verse 3 to 24. Remember, David took the wife of Uriah the Hittite, a black man, and the name of the wife, Bathsheba, a black woman. Also, of course, in the New Testament, Philip preached to an Ethiopian woman. Much is not really said of her in the book of Acts, chapter 8, verse 35 to 37. And the Cyrenian in Matthew, chapter 27, verse 32. So, in a nutshell, Pharaoh's daughter, who raised Moses as her own, as a black woman will not bring a white boy into her father's house to raise him as her home in those days. The Canaanite wife of Judah, then Tamar, who was impregnated by her father-in-law. All right, then Ruth, Uriah the Hittite, the husband of Bathsheba, the Ethiopian wife of Moses, Asenath, wife of Joseph, Pharaoh's daughter, whom Solomon married. You can see that in the book of 1 Kings, chapter 7, verse 8. The Queen Sheba, who undertook to prove Solomon. The Shunammite woman, the Zidonite widow. She was a Zidonian widow. Remember, you hear the word Zidonite or Zidonian, you think about blacks. She gave her last cake to the prophets in 1 Kings chapter 17, verse 9. So, the black biblical heritage cannot be erased from the scriptures. Blacks are more in the scriptures than we think. There is greatness in your skin color. If you have enjoyed this video, let me know what you think in the comment section below. Please click like and share with your friends. Give us thumbs up and subscribe to this channel, Cover Color by Adeolu. Until I come your way again in the next video, remember, and ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.